looking at Capcom's 1988 release Bionic Commando for the Nintendo NES, and this game was known as Top Secret Hitler's Revival in Japan. But because of Nintendo's strict censorship policies, they changed the title and the main characters for the European and American releases. When this game was first released for the Famicom in Japan, the main enemies in the game were Nazis, and the final boss for the game was Adolf Hitler himself. So needless to say, Nintendo wiped clean all the images of Hitler and the Nazi paraphernalia like swastikas and things like that, and made some graphical changes as well as some name changes for the American and European release. So instead of fighting Nazis, you're fighting bads. And instead of defeating Adolf Hitler at the end, you're defeating Master D. So yeah, thanks Nintendo. You took the biggest, baddest motherfucking end boss, Adolf fucking Hitler, and you replaced him with Master D? Come on, Nintendo. Who wouldn't want to play a game where you get to kill Hitler? And in the Japanese version, you didn't just kill Hitler. At the end of the game, his entire fucking head explodes. So yeah, needless to say, unless you're playing this on the Famicom, you got the watered-down version. But, that being said, this game is a tremendous game. It's a lot of fun, it's very challenging, it's very involved. Bionic Commando was designed by Tokuro Fujiwara, and he's the same guy that was behind the original Commando, as well as the Mega Man series. So this game designer was no lightweight. I mean, if Capcom made a good game, chances are this guy designed it.
So let me talk a little bit about gameplay of Bionic Commando. And this game is a very interesting concept. It's a platformer, but it's one of those rare platformers where you actually can't jump. So as you probably already know, the Nintendo controller gamepad has two buttons in addition to the D-pad. The two buttons in this game control your gun and your bionic arm, which takes the place of your jump mechanism. Now, the bionic arm is very tricky to get used to, and that's the whole challenge of the game, is to do well and advance in the game while using this bionic arm instead of a jump mechanism. In fact, as the game advances, it becomes less platformer and more of a puzzle game to try and figure out how to advance your character to where you need to be. And that's always the mark of a good game, when it mixes genres seamlessly and presents a challenge on all aspects. In addition to being a platformer and partially a puzzle game, this is also your standard shoot 'em up. So this game nicely combines three of the most popular genres at the time when it was released: the platformer, the puzzle, and the shoot 'em up.
And I do have to say that gameplay in Bionic Commando is absolutely rock solid. It is some of the finest for the NES. Bionic Commando is often overlooked as an excellent game when it was released, and up until recently, it's been all but forgotten. And I say up until recently, of course, because Capcom has reopened the franchise and is planning on releasing an updated version of Bionic Commando for the newest generation of consoles later on in 2009. But before Capcom announced they were reintroducing the series, this game was often overlooked. I'm not quite sure how the new reimagined Bionic Commando will fare. I've heard rumors that it's going to be a sort of open sandbox type game, and I've also heard rumors that there's going to be multiplayer options, but I can't really imagine how they're going to take the franchise to the next level. It'll be interesting to see, that's for sure. So back to the real Bionic Commando, and by real Bionic Commando I mean the 1988 version of Bionic Commando. And as I've said earlier, depending on what version you're playing, you're fighting either the Nazis or the bads, and your goal is to defeat Adolf Hitler or Master D, depending on which regional version you have. And to do this, you battle your way through 19 different stages. Now you may have noticed at the beginning of the game there's a map scene, and you select which stage you are from the map scene, kind of reminiscent of Super Mario Bros. 3. Those stages aren't directly linear, they branch off into different little areas, like in Super Mario Bros. 3, but for the most part it's a somewhat fixed linear progression.
Now, I really must say, Bionic Commando is in my definite top 5 of Nintendo NES games. And it's probably in my top 10 of video games of all time. It's that solid and that fun of a game, and it's that challenging.
Now, before the announcement of the new 2009 version of Bionic Commando, you could find copies of Bionic Commando for only a few dollars. But now, because of the popularity of the upcoming title, the games are starting to command a few more dollars than they used to. So expect to pay between $10 and $20 for a copy of Bionic Commando for the NES. Unfortunately, this game is not available on the Wii Virtual Console as of yet, but it is possible to download an updated, enhanced version of Bionic Commando if you have an Xbox 360 or PlayStation 3 and are connected to the internet with either of them. The enhanced updated version is called Bionic Commando Rearmed, and it's basically the same game with a lot of nice graphical updates and a little bit of a tutorial section included also. But otherwise the game is more or less the same. So if you have a Nintendo NES, I highly recommend Bionic Commando. If you don't already own it, it's a must-have for the system. And I also would recommend picking up the rearmed version for the PS3 or the Xbox 360. I've played the Xbox 360 version, and it's quite fun. It's, like I said, almost identical to this game, except for the very nice, refined graphics and the tutorial section. This game is extremely fun and extremely challenging. In fact, I think this is one of the few NES games that I had managed to not beat. I don't think I've ever completed Bionic Commando, but I'll have to give it a try sometime. I'm Dommy from Classic Games Revisited. Until next time.